The last public appearance of Chinese leader Mao Zedong, 1976. Mobile confession, presumably USA, 1940s. Cormorant fishing is an ancient tradition in Asia. A ring is placed on the bird's neck to prevent it from swallowing large fish. The cormorant brings the large catch to the owner, who takes it and rewards the bird with a small fish. Darwin made lists of pros and cons for marriage before his wedding. The pros list included constant companion and better than a dog. The cons list included having to visit relatives and less money to buy books. An American farmer demonstrates his vehicle powered by a goat running on a treadmill. The goat-mobile could reach speeds of up to 9 miles per hour. A spare goat rests on top. USA, 1900. Training for the annual pancake race. Africa, Sudan, school class, 1954. Naturalist Carl Ackley poses with a leopard that attacked him, which he killed with his bare hands, 1896. Halloween at an American school, 1980s. Europeans after a tiger hunt, India, 1900s. A Syrian girl in a refugee camp in Turkey. Mistaking the camera for a weapon, she raised her hands, 2012. At the start of a combined dog and women's race, USA, 1927. German children destroying Nazi literature and swastikas in Cologne, 1945. Jews arrested after Kristallnacht, brought to the German concentration camp Buchenwald, 1938. In 1954, 19-month-old Michael wandered out of his yard. His tiny footprints led straight to the vast, unforgiving Pacific Ocean. The parents' hope quickly turned to heartbreaking despair. Bombing for peace is like having sex for virginity, a famous slogan used by hippies during protests against the Vietnam War in the 1960s. Two illustrations condemning the crimes of the corset and how it maims and restricts women's bodily organs. Ian McKellen and Christopher Lee backstage at The Lord of the Rings, 2001. Hiroshima before and after the explosion. A Siberian chainmail suit for bear hunting, 1800. Wedding motorcade, Chelyabinsk region, Russia, 1990s. Private Richie sniffs a letter sent by his girlfriend from Oklahoma and scented with her perfume, Vietnam, 1966. A teenager at the ruins of his home 4 days after Hurricane Camille passed through, Buras, USA, 1960s. American prisoners of war liberated from a Japanese concentration camp, Philippines, 1945. A small girl in rags collects precious grains of wheat, USSR, 1921. Patent sketch of toilet paper, created by inventor Seth Wheeler, 1891. Finnish blacksmith Pertti Mäki stood in line all night and became the first buyer of a bottle of vodka after the repeal of prohibition on April 5, 1932. The beginning of the era of deception, a demonstration of inflatable bras, 1952. Mary Connors, the human nucleus, flies over the Avon River in Bristol, England, 1974. Refusal of service for Soviet-made Lada cars until the USSR leaves Afghanistan. Canada, 1984. A soldier equipped with a helmet with chainmail to protect his eyes from shell fragments, stones, and other debris. USA, 1918. The escort of a black man accused of raping a white woman, 1941. In ancient Greece, a gift of a rabbit from one man to another signified an intention to engage in intimate relations with the recipient. In China, the death penalty was often carried out by shooting at close range from behind. Afterward, the relatives of the executed would receive a bill for 9 yuan, the cost of 1 bullet. If the person had no relatives, they would work in prison for a while to earn the money for the bullet. The hairstyle of this Victorian fashionista is adorned with a taxidermy cat, and the bodice of her dress is decorated with real cattails. 1883. An invitation ticket for the Titanic's launching ceremony. Northern Ireland, 1911. Skeleton of Siamese twins in the Mutter Museum. The cleaning lady at the Royal College of Surgeons of England tidies human skulls. Early 20th century. In 1916, when the U.S. debated whether to enter World War I, legislators from Nebraska proposed a bill for a national referendum. Anyone who voted for war would immediately become a volunteer and be sent to the front. A woman at the entrance of a museum at the site of the former German concentration camp Auschwitz, 1981. A little girl from the Philippines was displayed in the Coney Island Zoo with animals. She was placed among monkeys and lizards, tied with ropes, and people were allowed to throw peanuts at her, 1914. Family portrait during the Spanish flu, 1918. The 1,000-yard stare. USMC Private Theodore J. Miller is helped aboard a ship after intense combat on Eniwetok Atoll. Miller was KIA a month later, 1944. Hundreds of ships abandoned in San Francisco Bay. Since 1848, thousands of people rushed to California's gold fields, hoping to get rich quickly. Parts of many ships were later used to build houses in San Francisco. Great Depression. Fred Bell, once a millionaire, now selling apples after the 1929 stock market crash, died in 1934 in a poorhouse. King Alexander I of Yugoslavia refused to participate in any public events on Tuesdays, as 3 members of his family died on that day of the week. Eventually, he decided to put an end to this silly superstition. On one Tuesday, he made an official visit to Marseille and was shot by a terrorist. Wedding rings found by American soldiers. Germany, Buchenwald, 1945. Halloween costume variety, 1930s. A liberated prisoner from the Ebensee concentration camp in Austria, 1945. Baby races. Popular sports competitions in New Jersey from 1946 to 1955. 1942. This is how Disney's Bambi was animated. By hand, frame by frame. At 13, Louis Vuitton left his native village and walked to Paris in search of a better life. His journey, over 450 kilometers, was made on foot and alone after his stepfather kicked him out. Model for the Statue of Liberty, 36-year-old Isabel Boyer. A massive ocean sunfish weighing 3,500 pounds, 1,587 kilograms, caught by fishermen off Santa Catalina Island, California, April 1910. A gentleman's set, 1640. In 1932, a terrible famine occurred in the USSR, taking up to 7 million lives. This was hidden from foreigners with shows of full store shelves, and the 1937 census was classified. A 6-month-old winner of the Most Beautiful Child of America contest in 1927, Marcia Pinklefield. 2 American border guards try to hold back an escapee who had already partially crossed into Mexico, 1939. Dog-drawn carts in the 1920s Belgium. With horse shortages, over 15,000 carts were pulled by dogs. Coal delivery to the 5th floor, France, 1917. After a 7-day strike, Woolworth store employees in Detroit celebrate their victory. They managed to raise wages by 20%, reduce working hours to 40 hours a week, and receive overtime pay, 1937. Actor Ron Storm, on the right, takes a break in a restroom, UK, 1970. He was known for playing female roles. While a man in a dress once shocked audiences, times have certainly changed since then. Cemetery of German soldiers who died near Moscow. The inscription on the plaque on the nearest cross reads, "They rushed to Moscow, but ended up in a grave." Wives of sailors from the Kursk submarine at the site of the submarine sinking. Barents Sea, Russia, 2000. Japanese burying Chinese POWs alive. Second Sino-Japanese War, 1937. A device for smoking an entire pack of cigarettes, 1950s. Even if you're Winston Churchill, you can't just walk past a kitten. London, 1952. Children take cover in an underground shelter to escape the explosions. Spain, 1938. Children play with bundles of money during hyperinflation. Germany, 1922. The border between Vietnam and Cambodia, fortified with poisoned bamboo stakes, 1972. A German soldier next to a shell with the inscription, "I didn't want war, France, 1917. Magician Joe Burris is lowered to a grave in a casket as he prepares to perform a stunt. Burris passed away after the casket collapsed under the weight of the concrete poured on top of it. People pose on a dead whale covered in graffiti, California, 1919. A former concentration camp prisoner selects glasses from a pile taken from inmates. 1945, Poland, Nazi concentration camp Auschwitz. Leader of the Aum Shinrikyo sect greets the mayor of Moscow at the opening of a sect branch, Russia, 1992. 3 years later, members of the sect carried out a terrorist attack in the Tokyo subway. The collection of pine bark for food due to food shortages caused by the Civil War. Russian Empire, 1918. Uzbek schoolgirls in a math class, Tashkent, 1921. A mother teaches her children, Louisiana, USA, 1937. The last veterans and witnesses of the 1812 war between the Russians and Napoleon Bonaparte. At the centennial celebration of the Battle of Borodino, Russian Empire, 1912. A fine receipt for believing in God, USSR, 1974. In 1952, Einstein was offered the post of President of Israel, but he refused, citing a lack of necessary experience. An American cartoon from 1964, Russia and China dig a grave for the USA. A Swedish weightlifter celebrates after successfully lifting the weight at the Olympics, Montreal, 1976. An old globe on an ostrich egg. It's about 500 years old. A student strike, London, 1972. 10,000 London students marched against tasteless lunches, corporal punishment, and uniforms. Although the protests were suppressed and the ringleaders punished, corporal punishment was soon banned. However, uniforms remain mandatory in more than 90% of schools to this day. Thieves attack a store in the commercial area of Caledonia, Panama City, during the U.S. invasion of Panama, 1989. Chains used on patients in old psychiatric asylums. This 1910 service vehicle was a revolutionary breakthrough for U.S. city infrastructure, replacing simple carts and ladders for maintaining streetlights. An exam at a high school in the Chinese city of Wuhan, 2008. A medal for drunkenness in the form of a collar with a cast iron medal, late 18th century. In July 1984, 41-year-old James Oliver Huberty told his wife he likely had a mental problem. He tried to make an appointment at a neurotic clinic but received no callback. Later, he told his wife he was going hunting for people, drove to the nearest McDonald's, and began methodically shooting the patrons and employees. In 77 minutes, until he was shot by a sniper, Huberty killed 21 people and wounded 19. Children protest against daylight saving time. It's unfair. They could have played for another hour. New York, USA, 1939. Bicycle Regiment of the Dutch Army on the eve of the German invasion, 1940. The Last of the Mohicans, an indigenous girl, 1960s. Jack Daniel, the father of the famous whiskey Jack Daniels, died from blood poisoning 6 years after injuring his foot by kicking his safe, to which he had forgotten the combination. In the photo, a black police officer stands next to a Ku Klux Klan member, protecting him from an angry mob. Texas, 1983. Few survivors of the Titanic disaster, USA, May 1912. A selfie with Adolf Hitler, Germany, 1930s. French cavalry on their way to the front, 1914. This image marks the sunset of the cavalry era as World War I introduced modern mechanized warfare. The largest submarine in the world, called Akula, USSR, 1981. Whether this clip sparked joy, anger, or just a bit of annoyance, I want to hear your thoughts below. Stick around for part 2 coming soon. Please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. See you!